But we begin this hour with a solemn tribute to Queen Elizabeth II after more remarkable images and scenes unfolding in London.
That's right. The Queen's coffin has left Buckingham Palace, giving the public an opportunity to say their farewells. A large crowd of admirers lined the streets, as you see there, to get a glimpse of the late monarch, the new king, and the royal family as they escorted her coffin to Westminster Hall. The Queen will lie in state for 4 days. Around 1 million people are expected to come and pay their respects ahead of her state funeral on Monday. President Biden and the First Lady will attend. The president spoke with King Charles today to offer condolences and convey America's admiration for his mother. CBS News' Lana Zak is outside Buckingham Palace. And Lana, I know you've been there for several hours now. If you could just take us back to that moment to tell us what it was like to see the Queen's coffin. And also, I noticed the crowd dispersed very quickly, not necessarily waiting to see the new king come back. But obviously, the point was people being there for the Queen, the late Queen.
Yes. And it's good to be with you, Jerika and Errol. When we saw the king come back just a little bit ago, it was largely empty here. I think that part of it also might be that they're not allowing people into Buckingham Palace like they were before. I can see over in Green Park that there's still a large contingency of people, so that might be a little bit different. But it was really a powerful moment. The whole of the Buckingham Palace became very quiet, and we could hear distinctly the clopping of the horses. We could hear the military precision as the Queen's guards passed us by, and we could see the sun actually glinting off of the jewels on the crown that was on top of her coffin. With Harry's red hair, he stood out. You could see him very clearly. And then you could make out the other members of the royal family, including the new king, King Charles III. And then as they made their way around the Queen Victoria statue and out into the Mall, and Errol, you'll tell me if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not, that's when we started to hear people applaud here.
Well, what's interesting, Lana, I think, is that now, after so many large and public events, it almost switches to a more private mode, a more personal experience. As Jerika mentioned, more than 1 million people estimated to be patiently waiting in line, queuing up, just to walk past and see the Queen lying in state for one final time. Just walk us through what we should expect to see now, here in the next few days.
So at this very moment, I believe that they're just now starting to open up the public viewing for the Queen at Westminster Hall. There have been people who started lining up on Monday, guys, to get that opportunity to pay their respects. And the line is already more than a mile. It crosses a bridge, and people have continued to wait there. They're being cautioned that they may have to wait up to 30 hours. That was in an official bit of information that we got from the culture minister. They're hoping it doesn't take that long. In Edinburgh, it was about 5 to 6 hours people had to wait. But here in London, bigger crowds, more people, and there's going to be 4 days of nearly continuous viewing. So they're hoping that most everyone who wants to will have an opportunity to say their goodbyes. People have been given wristbands who are in those lines so that they can leave, go to the bathroom, get a bite to eat, and then still come back into line. But eventually, the problem is that they may have to cut off the line given the number of people that they're expecting, and they don't want to have people waiting in line for days if they're not going to have an opportunity to see the Queen. And we do know that that funeral is going to take place on schedule on Monday.
Yeah, it seems like everything is taking place exactly at the time that we're told about it. There's a lot of precision. But as mentioned earlier, they've been planning for this for quite some time. That's right. Lana, I want to just get your perspective, again, being there for several days now, doing excellent reporting. Does it feel like the city is sort of at a standstill ahead of the state of the funeral on Monday, or what?
Not a standstill. Honestly, it feels like all of London is a giant queue at this point. Everybody is lined up. There's a lot of motion. It doesn't feel like a standstill. It just feels like everybody has someplace to go. And for 8 out of 10 people that I'm encountering, that someplace is in memory of the Queen. So whether it's across the street at Green Park, where people are lined up to give their flowers, out here outside of Buckingham Palace, where people have been waiting Last night was really a poignant moment when people had waited for so long to come here to greet the Queen as she arrived for the last time at Buckingham Palace. All of those moments have been so special, so searing, and being part of the crowd in those moments, you could feel that energy, and you could feel while it's obviously a self-selected group, the people who are here for the most part want to be part of this history. They felt a kinship with the Queen, but being in that audience as an American who doesn't know as much about as the royals as some of our British compatriots, you still feel like this is a moment in history, and the magnitude of that was certainly on full display today.
You've got a first row seat.
Yeah, and we'll certainly see more of it
Right
on
here.
Monday. Bank holiday has been approved. It's the equivalent of like a federal holiday. So banks, grocery stores, the equivalents of your Walmarts and Walgreens will be closed on Monday for the funeral. So you'll see more of this.
And some
Everything really
flights.
coming to a pause.
Yeah.
And some flights, too, actually are going to be canceled on Monday out of respect.
Yeah, so we will really see that bite here in the days ahead. Lana Zak, I know we'll
Right.
connect
Everyone
with you
shutting
again
down.
very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.